that God knows what's best and that God wants what's best for us. In fact, go all the way back to Genesis chapter 3, Adam and Eve. Sin first entered the world, entered the human race. Adam and Eve's sin, their disobedience flowed from unbelief. They chose to believe the serpent over God. In fact, listen to what happened. This is Genesis 3, verses 1 to 5. This is the serpent and Eve. The serpent said to Eve, did God actually say you shall not eat of any tree in the garden? The woman said to the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees in the garden, but God said, you shall not eat of the fruit of the tree that is in the midst of the garden, neither shall you touch it lest you die. Verse 4, but the serpent said to the woman, oh, you won't surely die. For God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. In other words, the serpent's message is God's holding out on you. That God just doesn't want you to know what He knows. And by the way, Eve, you're not going to die. Don't worry. So what do Adam and Eve do? Instead of trusting and believing God, they doubt God, and thus they disobey. Disobedience flows from unbelief. You know, for me personally, I don't mind telling you this. For me personally, one of my biggest struggles is to actually believe that God knows what's best for me and that God wants what's best for me. And so, because that's one of my struggles, man, one thing I am constantly fighting is the temptation to look to other things to give me what I already have in God. And I think that's probably true for a lot of us, right? I mean, we all want hearts that are full. We all want to experience a full and abundant life, yet our temptation is to look in all the wrong places to find what we already have in Jesus. And so it begs the question for all of us, what might you be struggling to believe God for? Just think about that. What might you be struggling to believe God for that might someday, if not already, lead you to disobey? Is it related to your money? Oh, God, I know that you say be generous with money, but God, honestly, I'm pretty good at managing my own money. But maybe it's to do with pleasure. You know, God, I have these longings in my heart, and I'm just not sure, God, that you can satisfy those, so I'm going to go look elsewhere to find satisfaction. Maybe it's issues related to finding joy, or feeling love, or feeling value. Whatever they are, the temptation for us is to look at other places besides God to give us what He's provided in Jesus. Here with Moses, man, by striking this rock instead of speaking to it, not only was Moses displaying his rage, but he was also robbing God his glory. Because look again at verse 11 to 12. Remember what God told Moses? He said, Moses, gather the people around the rock. Moses, I want them to see my glory. I want to remind them of my holiness and my provision. But not only did Moses not obey God, but it seems by doing what he did that he wanted to give the people the impression that he was providing. That's what happens when we disobey God. Not only are we demonstrating unbelief, but we are robbing God of an opportunity to shine. Look at verse 12. The Lord said to Moses, this is why God said, the Lord said to Moses, because you do not believe in me to uphold me as prophet. We've said this many times around here, but I'll say it again. And having been created by God, for God, and in the image of God, we will never find full, lasting fulfillment apart from Him. We can try. We do try, but we never will. It's seeing that God created us for Himself in His own image. We can trust that God knows what's best. And God wants what's best for us. And this is one of those truths that we've got to embrace. We've got to believe, because if we don't, it's likely that we'll disobey God by looking to a lot of different places to find, again, what we've already got in mind. So let's stop believing this lie that God's holding out on us. God is not holding out on us. God loves us. So because He loves us, we can trust that what God commands is for our best. We can also know that when we disobey God or fail to believe God, the consequences will follow. Not a loss of relationship. Keep that in mind. Not a loss of salvation. Remember, we are not saved by our obedience. Therefore, our disobedience doesn't make us any less saved, even though our disobedience does carry consequences. That consequences are the natural outcome of sin. Say it plainly, sin has consequences, period. And even though different sins carry with them different consequences, and even though consequences may vary from person to person, however God sees fit, those consequences are real nonetheless. To a great extent, all of us in here, to some extent, we are living with the consequences of sins we've committed. Some of those consequences are visible for everybody. Others are hidden, only us and God knows. But they're real, right? Go back again to verse 12. Notice Moses, notice how his sin was public. Right? He did what he did before the eyes of the people. Therefore, his consequence was public. Into verse 12. What was the consequence? Moses, because you've done this, you're not entering the land. Now again, this consequence seems a little harsh, right? But let's remember that God always holds spiritual leaders to a higher standard. This is why James chapter 2, for guys like Jonathan and I who teach, is one of those sobering passages where James says, hey, let not many of you be teachers, because you who teach, you're going to be held to a higher standard. That's encouraging, right? Makes you want to sign up. God holds spiritual leaders to a higher standard. That doesn't mean they're not going to sin. It doesn't mean they're not going to fail. It doesn't mean they're not going to have flaws. But what it does mean is that their sin can carry more severe consequences. Just as Moses has done. Yes, God forgave him. Yes, God sustained him. Yes, God still loved him. God kept him in his position of leadership. But his sin, it cost him. What a reminder for us. Even forgiven sin can carry severe consequences. So it sounds a little weird, doesn't it? Forgiven sin can carry severe consequences. But it's true. Think of David. Right? King David, the second king of Israel. A man after God's own heart. We talked about this in the past, but David commits adultery, followed by murder. David confesses his sin. God obviously forgives him. God even keeps him in his position as king. But David faced incredible, severe consequences. And as a Christ follower, and I want you to hear this, as a Christ follower, please don't confuse consequences with punishment. Remember, the reason Jesus came, one of the reasons Jesus came, was to absorb the punishment, or to take upon himself the punishment of our. Therefore, if you're a Christ follower, there is no punishment for your sin. Jesus paid for it on the cross. That reminded us this morning of this at our time before the start of Romans 8:1. There's no condemnation for those who are in Christ. But that doesn't mean our sin doesn't have consequences. Consequences, again, are the natural outcome of sin, the natural outcome of disobedience to God. And it's our consequences, even as a believer, when we sin, we're forgiven. It's our consequences that remind us of God's righteousness, His holiness. It reminds us of our daily, desperate dependence on God for everything. Get this. Our consequences also remind us of God's perfect grace. It reminds us that even at our worst, God still loves us. Christ died. Even in our sin, God still provides for us. That's grace. In fact, look back at verse 11. I want to show you this, even right here in this text. Look at verse 11. Check this out. So, you know what God told him to do? Speak to the rock. It says Moses lifted up his hand. He struck the rock with his staff twice. Right? So he disobeyed God. Notice the next line. Yet water came out abundantly, and the congregation drank and their livestock. You see how even in Moses' sin, God still provided for Moses and for the people? In fact, he gave them more water than they needed. What a great reminder. That's called grace. Even in our sin, even in this, like consequences, God's grace sustains us. Flip over to chapter 21. Just real quick, chapter 21. Look at verses 8 and 9. We're not going to study this whole chapter, but people of Israel, chapter 21, they grow impatient with God, so they start speaking to them. God saves them. Look at verse 8 and 9. The Lord said to Moses, make a fiery serpent and set it on a pole, and everyone who is bitten when he sees it shall live. So Moses made a bronze serpent and he set it on a pole. If a serpent bit anyone, he would look at the bronze serpent, and he would live. You know what it's called? Say it. It's called grace. In fact, interestingly, get this. Both this rock, provided water, here in chapter 20 and chapter 17, as well as this bronze serpent on the pole, both of these are foreshadowing of Jesus. The rock, Jesus as our provider. The bronze serpent, Jesus as our Savior. Listen to what Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, speaking of Jesus. He says, "For they drank from the spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ." Interesting, right? On one hand, Paul says, this rock that provided water for God's people as they wandered in the wilderness is a foreshadowing of Jesus who would quench our deepest thirst. But on the other hand, Paul seems to allude that in a very real way, it was actually Jesus who was providing for them. But likewise, John chapter 3, Jesus' interaction with Nicodemus. Jesus actually compares himself to this bronze serpent on a pole. He says, just as the Israelites would look upon this bronze serpent lifted on a pole and they were healed, he said, so the same people, or people, when they look at the Son of Man lifted up on a cross, they too will be healed. Both of these events, this rock and this bronze serpent, they're pointing us to Jesus, reminding us of God's grace throughout all of history. Jesus isn't just some character in the New Testament. He's foretold and prophesied and foreshadowed all throughout the Old Testament. Reminds us that even in our worst, God's grace still gives us, still sustains us. Some of you here this morning, you need to know that. You need to know that. God's grace covers our worst acts of disobedience. Man, Shane, you don't know what I've done. You don't know how I've hurt my family, how I've hurt other people. You don't know the private sins in my life. I don't need to. We take those to the Lord, we confess them, we lay them at his feet. God's grace covers us. Even the worst of our sins. This is why Jesus came, first and foremost, to display God's grace to us. Jesus says now, he lifts his eyes and looks at me on the cross. He will be healed. He will be saved. I will take his punishment for sin on myself. And then as we grow in our faith, like Moses, we disobey. We fail to believe that God knows what's best, that God wants what's best. And even then, God's grace is with us. To think that in spite of this, God loves us. In spite of this, Christ died for us. In spite of us, Romans 8, nothing can separate us from the love of God that's in Christ. We talk about shocking truth. That's shocking, right? Mm-hmm. That's God's amazing love. For those of us who are maybe in a season of disobedience, you need to know that Jesus has returned, come, he's covered you. Those of us who, when we're around the corner, we will face some difficult things and we will disobey. Again, come, again. Allow God's grace to come. Do you believe God's grace will come? Do you believe that? Do you believe that even your worst acts of disobedience, God still loves you? Again, the gospel is not I obey, therefore I'm loved by God. The gospel is I am loved by God. Therefore, I obey. Let's rest in the amazing grace of God towards us. Father God, I do thank you for your incredible grace, Lord. Romans 5, while we were sinners, while we were enemies, while we were ungodly, you loved us. Sent Jesus to die for us. God, thank you for that grace. Thank you that even in our disobedience, there's no room for self-condemnation. Just room to acknowledge it, repent of our sin, and turn from it, and allow your grace to come. Jesus, thank you for coming and living and dying in our place for us. you might personally experience this. Thank you that in spite of us, you were willing to die for us. We always worship you. Remind us, God, that our obedience doesn't lead to salvation. It's to flow from the recognition that we are saved by your grace. Help us rest in your grace. I think it's only appropriate to continue to work. Because what does it mean when you take the bread and the cup? The Bible says very clearly.
I like your Bible. I like your Bible. It's nice.
The cup is symbolic of his blood shed. The Bible says when we take this bread